Welcome to Staff Works Explained. If it's your first time here, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel, and for the repeat viewers, we thank you for the support that you have given us. In today's video, we'll be talking about the conflict in Sudan, and the one question that we'll be asking ourselves is why Sudan wants Kenya out of the peace talks that are ongoing in that country. Conflict in Sudan now enters its third month, and it does not seem to be, the end is not near. Heavy fighting has been reported in the recent past, and the antagonists are yet to meet despite several attempts to bring them together. Ceasefires have also been broken. So what's the genesis of this conflict? Generally, it is a power struggle between two leaders. One, the Sudanese army chief, Abdel Fattah al-Burhani, who is also the head of government or head of state, and his former deputy, Mohamed Hamdan Daglo, who is also known as Hemeti. Hemeti is the head of paramilitary group which is known as Rapid Support Forces RSF. Burhani and Hemeti had earlier collaborated to overthrow a civilian transitional government back in October 2021, and through these actions they were condemned by the African Union, leading to temporary suspension of Sudan from the organization. The RSF, or the Rapid Support Forces, as we have said, is a paramilitary force in Sudan, and that was formed in 2013. The group is composed of former members of a military group that was operational in Darfur region, and the group was responsible for widespread human rights abuses during the Darfur conflict. Since April 15th, 2023, around 3,000 people have been killed in the violence. This is according to IGAD, that is Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project. But the actual death toll is believed to be much higher, as part of the countries remain inaccessible. It's reported that a further 3 million people have been displaced internally, and others have fled across borders, according to International Organization for Migration, IOM. United Nations says that 3 million people have been internally displaced, and almost 350 people have fled across various borders, including over 170 who have fled to Egypt. UN further says that more than 500,000 of the population in Sudan, actually 25 million people, are now in need of aid and protection. Some entire districts of Khartoum are no longer have running water, electricity, and other necessities, and some of these are only available a few hours in a week, and 3/4 of hospitals and in the combat zone are out of service. Many families have continued to hide out of their homes, rationing water and electricity while trying desperately to avoid stray gunfire in the city of more than 5 million people who are nearly 700,000 of them have fled. There has been an attempt to broker peace between the two rival groups. Multiple diplomatic initiatives to stop the fighting have produced only a brief respite. The UN warns that Sudan is on the brink of full-scale civil war, which has the potential of destabilizing the entire region. A truce deal that has been brokered by Saudi Arabia and the United States failed after the government side withdrew. Talks which were hosted in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, were suspended in May 2023 when the Sudanese army withdrew its participation, accusing the paramilitary force RSF of failing to honor their commitments. The army spokesperson said that the military walked out because the RSF had not implemented the provision of a short-term ceasefire which required their withdrawal from hospitals and residential buildings. The army said that paramilitary group had also repeatedly violated the truce. Another process is led by the IGAD, Intergovernmental Authority on Development, and this organization is leading the process of bringing stability, peace, and democracy in Sudan. Four-nation group of Kenya, Ethiopia, Sudan, South Sudan that is, and Somalia have been tasked by IGAD to bring the two rivals, al-Burhani and his rival, Mohamed Hamdan Daglo, to the negotiation table. Kenya was tasked with the role of leading the process. Before the group could even start its work and do any meaningful work, al-Burhan's side asked for the group to be led by the South Sudan President Salva Kiir. He claimed that Kenya was taking sides with the RSF in the ongoing conflict in Sudan. Sudan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that Kenya government and its senior officials have adopted RSF positions, and it was sheltering elements and provided them with various types of support. Conflict experts say that there's a sudden shift in demands by al-Burhan's side, and this is seen as a strategy for delaying the process. The government, the expert says, is buying time. They have used this tactic before in the previous negotiations, and they do this to make themselves stronger before they go to the talks. How has Kenya reacted to this accusation? Kenya has denied that it is supporting any side. It has denied aiding these military groups, and but it has pledged neutrality in the whole conflict, despite the protest from the Burhani side, and it has reiterated that it supports the peace process that's being led by IGAD, saying that it will implement decisions which are agreed upon on seeking peace. The four countries say that they will prioritize the realization of the face-to-face meeting as a means of unblocking the key issues, which are cessation of hostility and delivery of humanitarian aid. Kenya says that its only interest in Sudan is to bring peace, and it will remain a neutral party on all matters of peace in Sudan. Sudan had protested to the decision to drop South Sudan leader as the leader of the group, and it even rejected that the attempt to bring the two rivals, two protagonists, Burhani and Hemedi, together, saying that a face-to-face meeting may not happen because the process did not recognize Burhani as the head of state. Khartoum had protested to the international community the apparent equal treatment of Burhani and his nemesis Hemedi. Burhani has asked to be treated as the bona fide head of state, and this is the dilemma that the mediators are facing, bringing the two warring groups to the table. Khartoum says that they won't meet with Hemedi face to face because they don't recognize him as being recognized by the international community. The two sides snubbed a meeting that was called by IGAD to try and start the process. IGAD had invited the two groups to a meeting in Ethiopia capital, Addis Ababa, and neither of them, either Burhani or Daglo, personally attended the talks in Addis Ababa, although RSF sent a representative to the meeting, which was led by Kenya, South Sudan, Djibouti, and Ethiopia. Sudan's foreign ministry said that its delegation will not participate in this process until its request to remove Kenya as the chair of the talks was met. The ministry had asked for the Kenyan president to be replaced with Salva Kiir because they say he was not partial. IGAD responded to this through issuance of a communique in Addis Ababa after the Addis Ababa meeting, and they regretted the absence of the delegation from the Sudanese armed forces in spite of them being invited, and also confirming their attendance. The group agreed to mobilize and concentrate the efforts of all the stakeholders towards delivering a face-to-face meeting between the leaders of the warring parties. It also called on the rival generals to immediately stop the violence and sign an unconditional and indefinite ceasefire. IGAD said it would request the African Union to look into possibility of deploying the East African Standby Force in Sudan for the protection of civilians and humanitarian access. U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs was also present in this meeting, where he called on the forces which are loyal to the two sides to immediately stop the fighting. There are reports that both the army and the RSF enjoy support beyond the Sudanese border. Neighboring Egypt backs the Burhan side, while the UAE and Russia's Wagner group support the Daglo's side. There are fears that the government forces would resort to deadly chemical warfare if they lost in the conventional battles. There's talk doing rounds that the army is planning to use the chemical weapons. A few days ago, Burhania has said that they had not used the deadly weapon yet, and that has been seen as an indicator that they are planning to do it. In 2016, Omar Bashir repeatedly used chemical weapons against civilians, including very young children, in Jeber Mara region, which is one of the regions in Darfur. It would be sad if the conflict went this way, because it would lead to great destruction. We hope that peace will be found in Sudan and the two rival sides will come into talks and come into an agreement and stop the fighting. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for coming this far. If it's your first time here, please subscribe to this channel. For the repeat viewers, we thank you for the support that you have accorded this channel. Give us your comment about this conflict, about the attempts to bring to an end this conflict, and also like the video. Thank you and welcome for more videos in future.